Coming to you from sunny Orlando, Florida, welcome to the Paperstac Podcast, where we cover current topics in the note industry, give you tactics for your note business, and talk with industry leaders to make you a better note investor. And now, your hosts, Brett Berkey and Rick Allen.
This is podcast number 18. Dude, I gotta tell you was the most enthusiastic. Hey, welcome. I love it, dude. I love it. We're excited.
We're excited. We're getting there. We got over 1,000 downloads. This has been really good, and hopefully this will only increase.
Yes.
And,
so I'll ask him now. If you haven't already, smash that little wing dinger button at the bottom that says subscribe, or well, both would be nice.
Yeah. If you're listening to it on your headset, reviews are always fun. I don't know what you're listening to it on, but any place is good.
Where can you hear us?
It's everywhere. Stitcher. You can hear it on iTunes,
Spotify. We're on the Google Podcast,
Google Podcast, Place, SoundCloud, everything. So
my relatives are like, yeah, podcast. We sit in this little room with a blue background and talk about stuff that I don't even know. Apparently 1,000 people have downloaded it.
Yeah.
So
my
mom. Yeah, it could be.
You know, as always, it's funny. Like sometimes I'll see stuff on social. I'm like, wow. So my wife shared it, my brother liked it, and my mom liked it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Any more fans?
It's funny, it's funny how I don't know, committed, but how people are just like, I need more likes. Like I have a friend and she's a really good photographer, and she does photography, like the newborn stuff. She'll do like the seasonal. She's got some boudoir stuff, which is fantastic.
What is boudoir?
It's like risque a little bit, not nude, but risque boudoir, like bedroom photos. Like a lot of girls are doing them and having them bound and giving them to their husband. Like maybe her in provocative positions in like a button-up shirt or something like that.
Oh wow!
Anyway, she does a lot of that cool stuff, but she's a full-time mom also. So she will share. We just had a family vacation to South Carolina. We had family photos in cotton fields with the fresh cotton blooms going. It was really epic. And she posted some of the pictures like after editing was done. And I saw her and she's like, did you see that picture? And I was like, yeah, I saw it. I thought somebody else shared it. She said, no, I did. I was like, where's my
I
wife?
was like,
I just saw it in scrolling between pounding out 1,200 emails and going to get something to drink. So I didn't like it. I'm sorry.
yeah. I like
But people love the likes.
No,
so do we, though.
Yeah,
we love the likes.
Yeah, I like the likes.
And the shares. And the subscribes.
Yeah. So,
anyways, what do we got on deck today?
Something recently. So I was talking to somebody about it. Actually, your name came up about how did they start? When did they start? How did they get from a couple notes to hundreds of notes? I was like, I don't know. As a Rick, I don't know how to go from 5 or however you started with 1 note, 2 note, 3 notes. Next thing you know, you got 10. But I was like, that's a really good question. And you know what? I'm going to keep it and we're going to have a podcast about it because I would like to, I'm sure it's a good story on how you go from managing a small portfolio to getting a little bit larger. I've hit the hurdle to where this is now a different thing. So I guess the topic of today is how do you go from having a one note portfolio to 100+ portfolio? And what's the time frames and everything like that?
Oh man, it's different. For one thing, I'll say it's different for everybody.
Okay.
It's just like some people mature faster than others. Some people want to be there. Some people don't. And I think getting to that 100 notes is honestly, I think there's this sort of no man's land. And it's like whenever you go from being like
the chasm.
Yeah, the chasm. Crossing the Chasm. It's a great book. But you go from this sort of, you're either a small player, you're maybe big fish in a small pond, something like that, to where you're running maybe, 10 notes at a time. You're running your own capital. You're very labor. You're on it. You're the man. You're doing everything you get to. And I think the very minimum is 100 loans. That's like the bottom of, okay, I'm starting to get bigger, because in there, that whole way, the time you're growing from maybe 10 to 20, 30, 40, 50 is you better have some systems in place.
True.
And you better understand that you're going to start burning more money. You'll probably have a higher return on your capital at the lower value, when you're managing 10 loans.
Yeah. Okay.
When you start managing 20, 30, 40, 50 loans, we learn this is like, you start spending more money
On your due diligence.
on just everything on due diligence, because you're now not doing everything.
Yeah.
You're having to start leaning on people. And as much as I don't like it, people want to get paid to do work.
Yeah.
And so you just have to understand that there is this chasm and this gap that you have to cross where it gets worse before it gets better as far as your returns. And then what happens is you get your system set, and we can start just talking about systems. And I think that's a good spot to start, but you get your system set and then you can start ramping up, and then it's like pouring more gasoline on the fire. It's a good analogy is like whenever you're starting a fire. So when you go to start a fire, if you've ever started a fire in the woods, right when you get your tinder bundle and everything going, I would equate that to like your first 10 months or your first, because these burns really bright, really hot. You can make really good income. But what happens is, if you don't start adding more fuel to it, it'll burn out. And when you start adding fuel, what happens is it gets lower. The flame gets lower as it starts to build. And eventually what will happen is you'll hit this critical mass where you've got a fire built and it's really roaring and running. And then all you have to do is just keep throwing logs on it, and you don't have to worry. Your systems are set. So that's an analogy I could use. It's like building a note business. It's like building a fire.
When do you start setting? So for example, I have 5. I've spent all the time. I did it. I touched every single piece of paper. I'm good. Now, when do I start saying, "Okay, this is getting too much. This is beyond me"? And this is the difference to it. Are you doing this as a full-time note investor or just part-time thing?
For sure.
For sure.
That's the first thing is, are you doing this as a full-time job? And what I think happens is most people start out as a part-time.
Yep.
TJ and I were in the real estate investment business, and we had all these sort of disciplines pre-laid out. Like we were good at handling bulk REO sales. We'd already been in the debt space with originating hard money. I'd tasted paper. I knew about it. I knew about the debt side of the business, evaluating tangible property and holding assets, and evaluating a rehab on a property, and understanding how to pin a value on a property. We had all these different disciplines that we were already doing with real estate. So moving to notes was just a natural extension.
Yeah.
And the way we moved to notes was even probably the most natural extension, because we were going from buying houses to buying the debt to get the houses. So it was just a different way to buy a house to me, because I wasn't modifying a loan. My goal was to get the house, and I was going to pay you as little as possible, but really whatever it took to get the house, because I did not want to go through foreclosure, because I knew in my head foreclosure meant time and money.
Yeah.
And so we came into it buying loans and paying people. The first one we paid the lady $100. Like it was so crazy. Our first deal was just like this dumb, I say luck, man, because we could have totally blown our legs off and never would I be in the note business. Maybe Paperstac would be here. I don't know. Maybe somebody would come up with it. But it was like, we got the loan. We didn't even bought the loan. It was definitely a violation. Reached out to the borrower prior to buying it. $100 we offered her for a time. She's like, take it. I've got 5 foreclosures. I don't need another one. So we're sending out the money going, oh, this is easy. Pay this lady $100 plus the $8,400. We're going to do it for $8,500. We're getting the house back. It's cha-ching. I knew right away. I said, at the very minimum, I can sell this thing for $19,000 and it will literally fly out the door. Like I could close. I tell the guy show up with no shirt on and he's going to show up and close.
Are you new to the mortgage note industry? Have you been wanting to learn the step-by-step process to purchase your first mortgage note? Well, you're in luck. We've convinced our CEO, Rick Allen, to break down everything he knows about mortgage note investing. Through a series of 50 videos, you'll get everything from start to finish of where to purchase notes, how to purchase notes, and all of Rick's investing techniques he has developed over the many years. From performing note tactics to non-performing notes, Rick gives you everything he knows about investing. Bonuses include our glossary of industry terms, Rick's own proprietary calculators he created to evaluate notes, discounts from our partners, our Rolodex of vendors, a private Facebook group, along with a lot more. We've packed so much content into the Academy to take you from beginner to expert in no time. To learn more about the Academy, go to academy.paperstac.com/welcome. Again, that is academy.paperstac.com/welcome.
That's how good of a deal it was. And then we listed it and it ends up running 20 grand higher than that. So yeah, that was a little bit of a tangent there, but so we got into it, and that was, our mindset was we were real estate investors. It's a cheaper way to buy houses.
Kind of contrary to where I guess I was going with this, like, at least the way from this guy asking the question was, they're buying and wanting to hold the note. So I think it's more like the management of.
So the management side. So what do you need to do? You need to have systems, right? And you need to understand your capital.
Okay, I understand. Explain.
Where's your capital coming from? How are you going to recapitalize? Because if they want to hold notes,
They're just collecting.
you're collecting payments, but you've got a finite amount of money unless you're continually raising capital, or you're tapped into some sort of fund that you're getting your money from, or you just have a lot of money. Eventually there's a finite amount of capital there.
Correct.
So you want to have, first of all, you want to have a system in place. And I would say, look, don't try to go from 1 note to 30 notes. Don't go from 200 or 200 subscribers on YouTube to 10,000.
That's why we can have live video chats.
Yeah, I know. That's the ultimate goal, but you need to have little goals along the way.
I know.
And it's not just for the accolades of having that, is there's so much to learn in that path, in that journey. You hear that cliche, it's about the journey, not the destination. Well, it really is. When it comes to buying and selling debt, like, it's just, there's this huge journey of stuff, and you can read it in a textbook and you can have somebody tell it to you, but until you live it, you do it, you'll get an idea and you get a feel for how things are going to work. So there's a lot of value in going from 1 loan to 5 loans, and then from 5 to 10, and then from 10 to 20. Because along the way, what's going to happen is you're going to see the repetitive stuff that happens, and you can systematize it. Like, the person I know that, or the people that I see that are really the most successful, follow that E-Myth, the book, the E-Myth.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about
Michael Gruber.
Yeah, it's all about systems, right? Putting the systems in place. So if you are not there, the business is still running. We got our buddy Grant, who is, he does real estate wholesaling, but I've done a lot of real estate wholesaling, more than he has, but I still look up to him right now because of his systemization.
Yeah, he's good with it.
This guy is like the best I've seen, like a Joe McCall, really good at systemizing stuff, right? This guy Grant, though, it's born out of a hate for the minutia.
Yeah.
Dude, I hate the minutia, and I do too. And I wish I were better at systemizing. But that's the key, is developing the system. So going from 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 20, you're going to learn along that path of where
minutia is.
Yeah, where the minutia is and where you can systemize.
So let's just say you're between the 5 to 20. What are the things that you look at first and go, okay, that I can systemize that? So for the guys out there,
systemizing your loss mitigation strategy 1. If you're buying non-performing, turn into performing, have a waterfall of how things are going to happen. What is going to happen? And you should have an ultimate goal of getting to, do they want the property or do they not? You want to get there as fast as possible. And then once you get to there, you can figure out, okay, we need just to roll in some systems here, whether it be standardizing contracts, standardizing forbearance agreements, anything you can do to streamline it to where you can then, and by doing this, by streamlining it, you can then take that and you can hand it to a servicer. And you can say, here's my playbook, because that's what a system is, right?
Yep.
It's a bunch of different plays in a playbook. Here's my playbook, go run it. And then you can focus on doing the next part of the 20 to 40, which is raising capital or figuring out your capital structure. How am I going to put money together? And the likelihood it would be, unless you've hit somebody in the 10 to 20 range, you're going to be JVing with people, which is a great way to get some insights, especially if have been in the business a while.
Yeah.
You're going to have to put together that resume. And so that 1 to 20, 1 to maybe 10 to 20, 20 to 30, those are resume builders. And that's where you can start keeping accurate books. Understand what you've made, what you've done, and don't just try, look, I'm going to go in there. And that's kind of something that was, we learned, was we went in with the mentality of we're just buying houses, and we're just buying notes to get the house back. And then when you get in there, okay, there's this other side of the business. Like it'd be nice if you can run both sides of the business in your resume builder. So that way, you know, the different avenues, because you don't want to get in there, raise money, and then have to figure some stuff out along the way, which is going to happen.
Interesting. Yeah. Basically understand all the different facets of how you can work out different.
And yeah. And so what's happening usually between the 1 to 30 phase is they're usually driven and they're working to become full-time note investors, right? You're working with your capital, trying to focus on getting to that's your full-time gig, and you're leaving your 9 to 5, even though this is still just another 9 to 5, whether you want to call it or not. It's a full-time job if you're going to run a portfolio. It's a full-time job.
Some people still have 70. Yeah, but he's got like the full-time engineer job. Plus he runs like a huge, like,
how the hell? He's another one that
but he's a systems guy.
He's a systems guy.
He's an engineer.
He's an engineer. And I know Chris, okay, not great. We're not like best bud, but enough to know that I can see, like, dude, this guy's got his systems. I can see with the way he runs his transactions. I go, he's system-based. And you'll get that.
You guys have bought, sold.
Yeah, we're counterparties. We've done business together on multiple trades. And so when you start doing business with somebody like that, and they're very regimented and they have a system. And that's what that does, is it makes it to where it's something that you don't miss steps, but it's also, like I said, something where you can hand it off to, whether it's a servicer or maybe you're bringing in an administrator.
Yeah.
And but this is where I'm talking about, you're paying people, right? So at one point you were like, look, I'm making 19% on my yield. And it's, yes, you were, but you weren't calculating your time or your effort into the deal. You were looking at those hard numbers. And so it's important to, if you really want to get an accurate number, start tracking your hours that you're spending on this and start attaching a dollar value to it on what you would pay somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
Then start deducting that from your return to give you an accurate idea of what you're actually making, because that will make crossing the chasm and going from 30 to 100 that much easier, because now you have an understanding. And if you're always attaching, we do it here at Paperstac, effort points is what we use. So for me, effort points equal time, but they also equal dollars, because if we can accomplish this X amount of dollars in a 2-week period, guess what else is a 2-week period? Payroll.
Yeah.
And so you can easily say, I can equate effort to time and time to dollars, and time is always money.
Yep.
Time is always money. And so whenever it comes down to calculating your yield, you should always try to figure that out and figure it out early. Because then it's all part of the resume, and it lets you know when you're going to raise capital, you're like, wow, he's actually thought of this.
That's smart. And this is, so you guys have another team member in MWM business.
We have, we call her Glue. She's Glue, Miriam. Unbelievable. She's
a blessing though, because she came with a lot of already knowledge.
She came out of the box.
Knew everything.
She didn't know everything about the note space, but she came out of the box with a real estate background. She came out of the box when we hired her. She just came in with so much experience, and it was just amazing. It's funny how things work out, because she was introduced to us by our bookkeeper. So you need to talk to this lady, Miriam.
I remember when she came on the first day. That was so funny.
Yeah.
She's all dressed up in like a business outfit. I think I'm working on a beanbag chair, and TJ said a fold up. What was that, like a
lawn chair?
She would wear like shorts, and she's like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, she came in there, and one of the things that's cool is we vibe good. Yeah. So I think that's important. But she's also a worker, and she works from home. But she's a hammer, and she gets things done. And you want to find somebody who, A, you can work well with, B, has got some knowledge, and C, is willing to put in the work. But I want to say, don't be afraid to pay them. Pay them. Because if you find somebody good, you want to keep. That support is probably building systems, and then that support staff. Because ultimately, if you're running a note business, you can't be doing everything. You can't work on your business if you're working in your business. You can't do it. I can't focus on going out to make the business better and employ systems as I'm writing out contracts constantly, or as I'm dealing with vendors or stuff like that. It's no different than Paperstac, right? We've got 3 of us who there's 4 founders, but 3 of us are working full time who wear a lot of different hats. And as we talk about adding new pieces of the puzzle, support, admin is one.
Admin, designer.
Yeah. And so you can't do everything.
It's the same with NWM. The fact that it got to the point where I was trying to help out a little bit. It got to the point where look, if you guys want the best marketing team, go with these guys.
Yeah.
They're the best in town.
Oh, yeah.
We need to bring on another team, or like we need to have somebody to handle the social and all the other stuff. It was like, this girl Jessica's a firecracker. Just she has been on it, on it. They're both.
And you see, and when that happens, like I said, it costs money. That's the thing. But you have to understand is you're investing that money in your company. And so you could take that money out, get paid for it, and you could try to go invest it somewhere else. But if you invest it in building your company, that's what's key. And so that's what's going on. That's what you need to be focusing on with building that note business, is going to that 20 to 100 is investing the money back into the company. I look at Note Investments Made Easier, Martin. He's investing a ton of money back into his business. A ton of money. He's got offices in Sarasota now. He's got offices in Virginia. So he's investing in it. He's investing in people and investing in the business. And he's thriving. And it's because you have to be able to say, look, it's like you can't start, if you're a gardener, you can't just chop things down when they start growing. You got to let them grow and blossom, because yes, you might be able to take something now, but if you let it sit, it's going to get bigger.
Yeah.
And it's going to provide continuously. And so that's the key, is systems, investing in people, systems. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to come up with the structure to raise capital.
Yeah.
That's that final piece, is what structure are you going to use to legally raise capital? And you better have some money to invest in that, because that's going to take an investment. And we chose the Regulation A opportunity for MWM Fund Tier 2 because we're able to generally solicit for capital. If you're doing enough JV partners and enough people, probably don't need that structure. And a caveat, go talk to an attorney. Don't take this as gospel. I'm just giving you my opinion. Go talk to an attorney, because they're going to tell you what you need to do, what you don't need to do. And it's all going to revolve around your circle of friends. Who do you know? Who do you have acquaintances with? How many commas are in their checking account or savings account? Stuff along those lines. And at that point, you can go ahead and decide your capital structure. How am I going to lay it out? How am I going to raise capital? How am I going to take people's money, do it legally, do it ethically? And you'll know from then you've built this foundation of understanding the note business, to setting down some processes and setting down systems, to a support staff, a support team, and vendors can be support staff. And now you're ready to raise the capital. And that's that pinnacle of, when you get to there, that's when you're ready to go and start raising capital. And that's what's going to really take you from 30 to 100. And really 100, once you hit that 100 notes, at that point, the cash burn part should start leveling off to where it's okay. Now I can start ratcheting back up. And at that point, though, it's like you have a whole new mountain to climb.
Okay.
Because once you're at 100 loans, you're like, great, I'm at 100 loans. Now I'm the small fish in the big sea.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because now it's okay. How do I get to 500 loans? And so the jump to 500 is probably going to be easier than the jump to 100.
Yeah. Is that what they say? It's hardest to make your first million. Second million should be a lot easier.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So then, I mean, what would be considered a big one? It's not like an institution. It's like a private, what would
a big what?
A big note investor, that somebody like you might even see an IMM, like under their own management, they might manage.
So they're for just their private funds.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got some people that came onto the platform. I don't know if they want us mentioning their name, but the gentleman we did a demo for, he's just done the 227,000 one. I would imagine that guy's pretty large.
Yeah.
Family office. I know who it is.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking for other people to talk to, like you're like, look, I want to go talk to different people. Chris is great. I would talk to that guy because he's willing to share his knowledge. David Putz is another one.
Yeah, he's got a number of phones.
Yeah, David is really, he has an interesting background to me because he's really good friends with Jack Krupe. And Krupe, Jack was in the business probably 6 months prior to myself and TJ at 2012. I think he was in 11, maybe the same time. He was really brand new to the business. And it was at the time, and he wasn't too far ahead of us, but man, he exploded.
Yeah.
And just went from buying 1 to 2 loans a month to, 7, 8 years, just insane. So he really made a huge jump, but David was he learned a lot from Jack. So that would be somebody. He's a smart guy. We've done some business together. He's somebody I would talk to also. Look, man, that guy, go pick his brain. Of course, there's always,
He holds webinars and stuff too.
yeah, he does. He holds webinars really good. Martin is great to talk to. There's some up and coming guys out there. Dan Deppen, definitely I would talk with him. And there's enough education out there. And I wouldn't talk to just one. I would talk to as many of them as you can get your tongue in their ear to talk to them, because it's ask questions and then listen.
We should actually do maybe a interview series of all those people you just mentioned.
You know what I want to do? I got a great idea. This is what we're going to do is they have this, I'm a hunter, so I like to hunt. I listen to a lot of podcasts about hunting, and usually twice a year, this one podcast, Wired to Hunt, really good, Wired to Hunt. He will have on 4 or 5 different guys at once, and they'll do an all-star roundtable, and they will fire out questions and be like, okay, what's your guys' thoughts on this? And it's really cool to hear all those guys talk, and you'll hear a lot of them. You'll hear a lot of the same stuff. It's backed up, and then you'll hear different little twists on how they would do it.
That's pretty cool.
So I think that's something, and there's a lot of people in there that we would love to talk to. And there's different disciplines. If I want to talk about fund management, I'm praying I can talk to Bob Repass.
Yeah.
I'm like, can I please talk to Bob Repass? That guy knows his stuff. And if I'm talking about sheer volume and wanting to know the lay of the land of the industry, I would love to talk to Eddie Speed, because dude, the guy's traded 50,000 notes. That's 50,000 notes. That's just insane. He's been doing notes for almost as long as I've been alive. I'm 40 and he's 30.
He said 82 or something.
I was born in 79.
Yeah.
So that'll tell you how long he's been buying and selling loans. And so you think you can learn something from that guy. Now look, don't go call Eddie Speed and tell him I told you to call him, because he's very busy. He's focused highly on Washington, and he's up the waterfall and he's frying some big fish. But if there's somebody if you ever get that opportunity, you get that 2 minutes, if you get that 2 minutes, you have that question ready for people, right? I know you're great at asking questions. You ask best questions.
Thanks.
And then you shut up and listen. Sometimes, most of the time they're good.
That's
Offers in gold, man. Offers in gold. Oh, so
yeah. No, it's how you learn. I've Brian Tracy. Always something you can learn from everybody. Every single person you can learn something from. So I'm always listening to everyone about. My wife hates it though, because we'll go when we'll go to, not so much more because the kids are getting older, but we go to birthday parties and they're like, it's a daytime birthday party. I want to be in the cheese pit, just eating cheese all day. And then I don't know anybody here, but I'm not going to be that guy in the corner on the phone. So I'll just kind of stare out the window. But then I hear somebody saying, oh, I do this or whatever. And I just, when this one guy was doing, he was had this whole garden and all this stuff. And I was like, well, where did I get this? What did I do? And then after a while, my wife's like, you're annoying him.
No, they're not, because everyone likes to talk about themselves.
I also stop it. You're just, the guy's going to die. He's not going to like you. I'm like, I'm not going to see him again. I was like, I won't see him again. When I had so much information, I just had Evernote out, and I'm just like, dude. At the end, I said, hey, what's your phone number? Because I have more questions. His eyes were like, this, not a chance. Don't take my phone number, man.
But it's the key is ask questions and know what you want. If you know you're going to talk to somebody, ask them. So I think that'd be a cool podcast to do.
That would be fun.
Maybe. Is that our first?
Maybe.
No.
You'd probably have to have a couple. Could we probably mess up the Zoom call?
Yeah, we're gonna do a couple. This is 18, so 2 more, and then we start bringing people on, and you don't have to just listen to frickin' frack, just babble away, and you get some other information out there. But yeah, we're gonna have some more people on. So I think this one's running. We're at 30.
That's right. But okay, this is hopefully it's got, if you're listening, hopefully it answered your question about how you go from 1 to 100. And
There's a lot more to it. If maybe we can dive down into the systems, the actual systems.
that might be good. That might carry us over to 20.
Yeah, maybe the next one.
Investing systems that you need to put into your business.
Yeah.
And then maybe the last one right before at 20 would be,
the recap of all of 18.
no, it would be the funding specific, setting up fund structure and things like that.
Yeah, we can do that.
But make sure you're not driving when you listen to that one. I'm sure it would be super boring.
That, or you're going to want to have a pen and paper out. That's what I find is like some of those things can get real detailed, and like the devil is in the details. So especially when it comes to fundraising, because you do it wrong and you have this organization called the Securities and Exchange Commission who will visit you. And I can assure you,
You don't want that knock.
you don't want that. So anyways,
All right. That's the number 18. If you guys have your own questions or want to hear a podcast, please reach out to us. Or if you haven't checked out our Ask Paperstac series, please do. And
more Paperstac updates. We just
did our second one.
Yeah, we did our second. That's our third one.
Is there a third one? I don't know.
Yeah, it's our third one we've done. And we just completely took the listings on how you list an asset and we basically tossed it out the window. And it is, what we have now is special. It's much easier to use.
But then what's happened? So we said we're going to get to listings. That's our last piece of everything was the legacy code, legacy stuff. It's all gone. Now it's like, all right, we've opened up the next chapter to what we're going into next. So what we're going into next is it's exciting.
Special.
Yeah. So that's it for now. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.